Team Blue.
Okay, moving on. You guys can all hear me, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so
now.
ignore my head as I turn to read on my other screen. I'm not ashamed of you guys. That's why I'm not looking away. I'm just reading on my other screen. All right, this is, I just read this a little bit ago, and I think it's just the most magical way you could ever phrase this. An attack, well, first off, an attack is offensive action characterized by movement by supported fire. That means whenever we're doing an attack, it's not everyone's gung-ho, full-on bum rushing like Halo or Call of Duty. That means we are having movement which is supported by another element which is firing on the objective or at the enemy. So that means we constantly have suppressive fire. We have guys engaging the enemy while the other group moves around. And this here's my favorite part. Successful attack depends on concentrating the maximum possible shock and violence against the enemy force. Infantry forces combine shock and violence with surprise. The objective is to shatter the enemy's nerve, ruin his synchronization, unravel his plan, and destroy his unit's cohesion and the willingness of his soldiers to fight. A successful attack combines a scheme of maneuver with a coordinated plan of direct and indirect fire support. The focus of an attacking platoon's fire maneuver is a weak point, vulnerable flank, or the rear of an enemy. Not that rear Clark. Once he has identified the point of attack, the leader establishes a base of fire to kill, fix, or suppress the enemy at that point. He then maneuvers the rest of his force to a position from which it can assault. I mean, sounds pretty legit, right? The key things we need to pick up from there is that when we're doing an attack, it's definitely not just like small rushes and everyone just bayonet charging like World War I. Nowadays, we have to have that support by fire in order to successfully survive and kill the enemy in close combat. Attacks can be mainly broken up into two different parts. We have hasty and deliberate. So someone who doesn't already know this, take a stab at what you think the difference between hasty attack and a deliberate attack is.
Deliberate's planned, hasty just happens because you have to.
Exactly. The difference is that they're distinguished chiefly by the time which is available for preparation. Deliberate attack, you might have hours, days, weeks, months to plan it out. You get time to actually look over photos of the area, conduct like solid recon, all that good stuff. You have designated plans and everything. Hasty attack, that's just where you see an opportunity to, you're patrolling along, you see an opportunity to engage the enemy, you take it. You don't have much time for planning. I think probably a good example of it is as you guys probably have seen, if you've seen Band of Brothers, whenever they attack the 88 millimeter position on the second episode.
Yep.
I mean, they probably have like an hour or so to prepare, but it's still a hasty attack because they go in there not knowing the exact layout of everything. So that is pretty much a good hasty attack. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me see what else I can go over here real fast. And I'll look to this guy so I don't shoot someone. All right, so initiate, pretty much the main parts for an attack, you have to plan and prepare. You just got to take into account MET-TC, mission, enemy, time, troops, terrain, and civilian considerations in order to make sure that you are going to have the best route of attack. You have to find the enemy, so you got to know where they're at, and you have to avoid detection, so that way whenever you do attack, you have the most surprise, and you are going to catch them off guard, so that way you can catch them at their weakest point. Next key is to fix the enemy. You don't want the enemy able to maneuver on you or fall back and retreat if you're wanting to destroy them. You have to keep them pinned down, unable to move. You have to find or create a weakness. If you can find a vulnerable flank, hole in the wall somewhere, you got to take that. If you can't find some, you got to create it, normally with indirect fire, cast, anything like that. Then you have to, after you find that or create the weakness, you have to exploit it. So you have to maneuver on it. That means we'll probably take a squad, maybe a fire team, and you have to maneuver them into a position in which to either engage, and close with to destroy the enemy. And finally, after you do all that, you have to consolidate and reorganize. So after you conduct an attack, you have to pull yourselves back together, check ammo, make sure everyone's all right, make sure everyone's here, and that you're able to push on to the next objective. Any questions?
None here.
Balling. Let me scroll down about 300 pages in this thing. All right, so the actual platoon attack, how we do it, or how it's supposed to be done, is whenever we're engaging the enemy, the first thing we got to do is determine the enemy size and what kind of units we want to engage it. If it's like a 5-man patrol, do we want like a 30-man platoon attacking them all at once? Not
No.
really, because it's yeah, thank you. It's very inefficient. Having 30 guys blow through all their ammo to kill 5 guys, that's not going to do. You can
User disconnected from your channel.
The squad can easily take care of that. So whenever we do attack, you have to engage with, which normally is just the minimum amount of guys you need. So we don't need like an entire company attacking a squad of guys. You have to keep it on a force-based level, so that way you have reserves in case stuff hits the fan. The next part is that we got to do is once we do have engagement,
User entered your channel.
and fix the enemy. So that means we got to get in there, hold them down while we evaluate the situation, while the leader comes up with a plan in which they're going to attack and maneuver on the enemy. I had this all so much better planned out on my little compound. All right, so once we got the enemy fixed and set, and they're not able to maneuver on us, what's the next thing we're going to do?
Flank.
Exactly. We're going to flank. We're going to maneuver in close on them, find a weakness. And so, what was next? Blah, blah, scroll. Yeah, and after we determine the best route of attack, we get in position. That's whenever the assault element starts to move in. Generally, what's the best formation to use whenever we are assaulting towards an objective, towards a group of enemy?
Line formation.
Exactly. Why do we want line formation?
Active fire.
The left side of the classroom is doing fantastic. Guys here on the right, meh. Class participation.
To the front.
Yeah, that's my boy King. Yeah, we have maximum firepower to the front. Everyone has their guns pointed forward, and we don't want to rush forward. We want to take it nice and easy. Make sure we're clearing out the enemy, we're engaging them, and taking care of business. If we know that there's a good chance they're still shooting back, do we just want everyone standing up on a line, moving towards them nice and slow at once? What's another way we can close towards the objective?
Bounding and
Bounding.
Bounding and shifting, yeah. So we can either do it, you can break it down. Normally I would just say leave that up to the squad or fire team leader. If the squad leader thinks that he can move an entire fire team, more power to him. If he just wants to move just buddy teams of 2 guys at once, that's outstanding as long as he closes with the enemy. If the fire's that intense and you can only move 1 person at a time, that's just fine, but we have to close with so we can kill the enemy. All right, so once we cross the objective, we go through, everyone double tap someone. Do we want to sit directly on top of the objective?
Negative.
negative.
No. Why would that be a terrible idea?
We've already got that zeroed if they want to counter strike.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of TRPs, target reference points. That pretty much means, I know a lot of US FOBs and everything with this, well, they will mark their locations and other pre-designated points for artillery. So if they need it, they can just call in, say, like, Fire Mission TRP Alpha. And the field artillery guys already have everything laid, good to go. They just need to get the guns on point, load them, and fire them, and rounds are going down range. And if the enemy's smart, they will put TRPs on their base, so that way, if they lose contact with them for so many minutes, the field artillery guys will just start dropping rounds right there because they know that those guys are probably gone. So what we got to do is after we make onto the objective, we have to push through probably about a solid 50 meters past the objective. That's called the limit of advance. That at least gets you off the immediate area of the objective. If you pushed out, you cleared a little bit more, but it just keeps keeps everyone from getting concentrated dead center in the middle of the objective. And after that, what is the final step for our attack?
Set up a defensive perimeter.
Yep, regroup. So we'll go ahead and consolidate and reorganize. Setting up a defensive perimeter is part of that. But just getting everyone around, taking accountability, making sure everyone's still here. We didn't lose a lot of people in the fight. Everyone's still good on ammo, water, whatever, able to push on. Too easy, right, guys?
Yep.
All right, so who wants to be Godfather?